Hi everyone, just a quick Friday Spry play for today. This one's going to be where I go through just comparing cases and tables using the XML Diff tool. So XML Diff is just it's a complicated way of saying the comparison of two different XML files, the diff being a programming term, I suppose, for seeing the differences between two different files. So to do an XML diff between two different cases, generally the easiest way to do it, and I've got two different models open at the moment, I've differentiated them just by doing a red and a green version, is that you would export your case to XML, and you can put that to documents. I'm just going to put that in a Spry play. I've already created one. I just ran a quick test before, but yeah, so you create an exported XML like you would with anything that you were transferring out of Spry. If you don't do this before, I suppose this is a bit of a leap, but you're exporting the case so that you can share it with another project. So we save that, and then we go across into our other model, and we can right click either where it says scenarios or where it says main demo, or in fact we can run the XML diff from a variety of places, but if we're looking to compare cases, we can just go straight to the XML diff from the scenarios list. The original and the new, so it will affect the way things get colored, which one you pick as the original and which one you pick as the new. I'm going to pick the original one as the file that I saved before into this SpryPlay folder, and then I'm going to select from the drop down list my main demo scenario. So one of the key things with doing a scenario comparison at the moment is the names of those scenarios need to be identical, and I'll show you a trick on how to compare two scenarios in the same project in just a second. But so when you compare those two files, what you're going to get is a list of the things that have changed, as well as, depending on where you're at, in blue you've got a change, in red you've got a removal, as in the old version you had it, but in the new version you didn't, so the original you had it and the new version you don't. Or depending on what else you may have changed, you might see green. So green means that it was not present in the old one and it is present in the new one. So you're going to see changes in source paths. So you can see here the difference between those is a source path. There's a difference in the source path here. I've just kind of created a fake difference here. Also in the custom fields, what is present. I've written just another random difference into a destination path here, just so you see that there's a difference flag. So differences being in blue, as I said, green meaning new, red, etc. So yeah, that's a tool to help you understand the difference between two XMLs. So probably the two most common ones to do as a regular user would be to compare two different cases. As I said, you're going to want to make sure that they have the same name, and so what can happen is you want to do an XML diff, and you go utilities, XML diff, and you select both of these as scenarios. And we're going to change this behavior, I think, pretty soon, but right now, so you select those two, and the problem is because they're named differently, they essentially don't get compared properly. So the trick to do a comparison with this is either you can export it out, but the easiest way I find to do it is if you move it into a folder, give it the same name, because they've got the same name now, they should give you a direct comparison, although nope, these haven't, it's not doing that anymore actually. So the trick would be to export it out to a file actually. So yeah, right click, export this to a file, make sure that the name in that XML is the exact same as this one, and that way you can actually do a proper comparison. We're fixing that, but for the moment that's the workaround. The other main comparison you may want to do, so if you're looking at trying to understand why there's differences between two different cases, the most common thing is that something's changed in the case itself, like your path has changed, your dependencies have changed, something rate has changed, etc. But you may also need to check your calendars as well. So or the deposit ranges or destination ranges. Those are the two most common things you need to check. So you need to check your ranges and your check your ranges and your fields. So the range is the big one. If you're actually looking to compare data itself, this won't compare the data inside the folder. So we're just talking about comparing the structure, which includes the text in the range. So I'm just going to show you how you do that. So it's the same thing. There's a utility, there's an XML diff. I'm going to export this table structure out. I'm going to send it to the same Spry play folder. I'm going to pop open into this model, which is the different one. I'm going to fire up the XML Diff tool. I'm going to use my table, but then grab that file that I just pushed into that Spry play folder, which is the deposit table structure. Hit accept. And what you'll see is, if you dive down to your ranges, is that you'll see the difference between those two ranges. As I said, it's not going to show you a difference in the actual values in the tables themselves. That you need to do yourself, but it's just it's a useful troubleshooting tool to help you understand what may have changed. You can export a case at certain dates and just keep track of the changes that you make. If you're the kind of person that likes to archive what you're doing, you don't have to save the entire project potentially. You can just save cases as you go along. But anyway, that's the XML Diff tool. If you've got any feature requests or questions about how that works, as always, give us a buzz, support@precisionmining.com for email. During business hours, 3539 0000. And have a great weekend. I have next week off, so there won't be a video next week for the 10 or 20 of you who watch these videos. But we'll see you in a fortnight. Have a great weekend.